Well, the Police and Prison Civil Rights Union Popcru spokesperson Richard Mamabolo joins us now for more. Very good evening to you, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Good evening to you and the viewers.
All right, let's pick up from where the president left off. I mean, you know, there's much criticism aimed at police in general when it comes to the issue of the high crime rate. And we heard the president there talking about the fact that it seems as though the number in comparison to the general population and police is not balanced. I think his words were it's skewed. I want to talk about some of the problems, including what the president was talking about, that you have identified as union, that are some of the biggest challenges that police, you know, are faced with.
No, definitely. The president is quite correct in his analysis about having a skewed police service. You'd remember that the police service has been on a decline for the past 10 years, while the population has been growing. So that is quite a concern. And I think in his maiden address, State of the Nation address, he did make mention of the fact that we need to have violent crimes by half within a decade. But however, there had since then been challenges around financing this project, because you had the then Minister of Finance who actually cut down the budget even before the COVID-19 pandemic. So since that pandemic, of course, there have been measures by government to cut down on social spending, and that has obviously affected the policing in a negative light. So we do welcome this call that there should definitely be some adequate resources put in place, and of course this should not only be about financing provincial and national offices, whilst we do know that there is a huge challenge around the uneven allocation of resources within the SAPS itself, whereas you find that police men and women on the ground, especially in township and rural areas, have got challenges with regards to vehicles. You know, the staff complement is quite low, yet some resources, of course, or a substantial amount of resources are only centered within affluent areas.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that, you know, we've reached a level in this country where we can say that criminality and the crime rate has reached a crisis level? I mean, President of your union, Zamele Tebekulu, was urging, while he was urging President Cyril Ramaphosa to address the plight of police, he warned that, you know, if this situation is left unmanaged due to, I mean, some of the issues that you talk about as well, resource issues, current economic climate and ongoing obstacles, that the criminal justice system would essentially fall apart, and that we could then lose the fight against crime. But some might even say that we've actually lost that fight against crime.
I don't think we're at that stage yet. I think there are a number of decisions that really need to be taken in looking into the entire criminal justice cluster as to how we can actually ensure that it performs to its maximum capacity. One of the things, of course, would be ensuring that there are resources in addressing the issues that I just spoke about, but as well as ensuring that, you know, we have some form of synergy between all clusters within this, the departments within this cluster. You need to have synergy between police, you need to have synergy between police and the judiciary, and of course the Department of Correctional Services. That is where we think part of actually ensuring that it is becoming more effective would actually yield better results. But of course, as a union, we just recently had our policing endeavor, wherein we actually looked extensively into all these issues have got an impact on the crime rate that we have in the country. And one of the other things that we came about was to look into the kind of relationship that we have, of course, with our most important stakeholders, which are communities, the role that communities plays, and of course this Congress will also be deliberating more around the role that community policing forums do play. So we think that it's a matter of actually getting all these stakeholders together and actually finding a way in which we can jointly fight crime in the country.
And speaking, Mr. Mamabolo, of roles, I want to talk about the role that Popcru itself, you know, has played or plays since its formation in 1989. I mean, you know, this today was, you know, the 10th National Congress, but of course the formation in 1989. What would you say has been the role that you have played then as a union affiliated to COSATU, and what from here? You know, what's next in terms of what? what Popcru actually essentially then wants to achieve?
I don't think we're at that stage yet. I think the number of decisions that really need to be taken in looking into the entire criminal justice cluster as well as the Department of Correctional Services. One of the things, of course, would be ensuring that there are resources in addressing the issues that have got an impact on the crime rate that we have in the country. And one of the things, of course, we actually looked extensively into all these issues have got an impact on the crime rate in the country. And one of the other things that we came about was to look into the kind of relationship that we have, of course, with our most important stakeholders, which are communities, the role that communities plays, and of course this Congress will also be deliberating more around the role that Yeah, look, I think you're correct to say that Popcru, in fact, we turned 34 years yesterday on the 5th of November. Popcru was formed in 1989, and since then, of course, there have been a lot of challenges around getting members within the criminal justice cluster organized and, of course, fighting for their rights. So that is the primary goal of Popcru, to ensure that members do get services and, of course, conditions are improved. But at a bigger scale, of course, the main concern would be around ensuring that we have a South African police service that is visible, that is working closely with communities, and that is part of what we've been building over the years. We've established relationships, of course, with government and different other stakeholders, including Safer South Africa Foundation, for example, which has been running programs across different schools in the country wherein they teach learners about the nitty-gritties of the criminal justice cluster, and of course, working with different departments, working with the judiciary. We think that we're creating an environment where matters that relate to this cluster are actually put out there, and young people start understanding that they need to obviously ensure that whenever they grow up, they do not fall into lives of criminality. So those are some of the initiatives we've been pursuing. Otherwise, we're obviously working in ensuring that we improve the lives of our members through the different collective bargaining councils that we participate in.
All right, and just as we wrap up our conversation, of course, it is expected that you are to elect new leadership at this conference. Are we talking about heavy changes up top, or just a few changes here and there? What are we to expect out of those changes and that election of new leadership?
Yeah, look, on the question of leadership, our tradition has always been that we engage on what needs to be done. In fact, since Congress has started, we've been reflecting on the work that has been done over the past 4 years, and we will continue to look into where we have faltered. We will obviously do some introspection, but also come up with a clear program of action around the goals that we seek to achieve. Only based on what, after defining what we want to achieve as a union in the coming 4 years, will we then look into the characters of leaders that we need in ensuring that we fulfill the mandate onwards. So leadership matter is not, for us, is not about individuals, but it's about how we actually going to achieve whatever goals we set ourselves in the coming days.
All right, pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time.